Yo, what's up, what's up? You rocking with the GOAT of the game, Hip Hop Gamer, Hot 97 to 660, GGL, Global Gaming League. Listen, it's not every day you get a chance to have somebody that's been in the gaming industry since 1987. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that has held high positions, you know what I'm saying, with Sony PlayStation in every single division. Vice president out in Europe, president out in Japan, president out in the United States, representing in all areas. You know what I'm saying? And he speaks fluent in Japanese. So let's get it. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. His alma mater was University of Notre Dame. What are we talking about right now? And he also joined 10-Sick Games, baby. And to solidify that legacy, being incredible, Gripple. We gonna talk about that. We need to know what's up with that. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I present to y'all the one and only. Put your hands together for Shawn Layden. What's going on, baby?
Hey, my brother. How are you?
Yo, bro. Come on, man. This is incredible, man. Yo, I'm gonna share a story with y'all. So I'm at Dice, right? And I see Shawn chilling, you know what I'm saying? And I walk up to him, I'm like, yo, Shawn, I just want to introduce myself, you know what I'm saying? I'm Hip Hop Gamer, not sure if you know who I am or heard of me, but this dude, Shawn, was like, you could tell this dude loves what he do, because when I approached him, he was already like, yo, what's up? Well, how you doing? Well, yo, it's great to meet you. You want to do something? Like, you know, like his energy is so incredible. And that's something that we noticed to be missing a lot. Because in this time, everybody is so quick to say, oh, this game is this or this game is that. Or I hate this, I hate that. And I'm like, where's the love? Where's the love? Just for the games and just having fun in the people. So I'm just here to present to y'all one of the greats, one of the legends, and we about to get into it. There's a lot to talk about. But the first thing I want to talk about, Shawn, I want to bring it to you like this, bro. Like, what made you love the game industry, gaming culture, playing video games? What was that moment that let you say, you know what, I'm gonna dedicate my life to this? What was that moment, bro?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on today. I know we've been talking about this for quite some time, trying to get it together. So I'm glad we hit a bullet with a bullet today and find this time to get in your space. What started my love in gaming? I mean, I came along with it organically, like so many of my generation. I mean, we began in the pinball parlors, you know, pinball and skee ball and all the mechanicals. And then in the early 70s, you know, computer space came out. If you saw the movie Soylent Green, there's this like weird shaped computer gaming machine in there. That was computer space, kind of the first raster-based gaming to, you know, end up in an arcade. And then, of course, laterally there was things like Pong, and then there was Pac-Man, and on, and Space Invaders. You know the story.
Yeah.
But that industry kind of grew up as I grew up. It took me through junior high school and into college. I remember being in college, seeing the first Space Invaders rack in the basement of my dormitory, trying to what the hell is this? And all of a sudden, getting your 3 letters of your initials on a screen became more important than getting my degree at university.
Wow,
So
that's crazy.
And then I went to Japan like in 1981 as an exchange student. And oh my God, you know, the game thing is exploding there. You had Game Watch, Nintendo was bringing out, trying to figure out what all that was about. And I just kind of, as I grew up through life, gaming was changing alongside me. And I remember the first video game I really fell in love with on my computer was Prince of Persia. You know, Jordan Mechner's epic. Fire. Exactly. That's where you get the phrase "leap and the bridge shall appear," right? Moving across the side screen, that side scroller, and the animations and the way he built that just by taking, you know, 8mm shots of his brother and then, you know, hand animating it. It was amazing, and that changed the whole game for me. And then Sony, and then PlayStation, and here we are. It was gaming kind of grew up in my generation. Those of us who were, you know, arcade rats in the 70s and the 80s. So it really feels like it became part of the culture really in the 80s and the 90s. I was just happened to be a young man at the time and could grow up alongside it. And it seemed like a great place to be.
Wow. Now, the reason why I wanted to set it off with that question is because there was a statement of coming out where you had said that you just kind of got exhausted. Like, you know what I mean? Just from the whole industry and everything like that. Now, one thing that people say about me, because I've been professionally in the industry for 17 years. Next year will be my 18th year. Like, for real, bro. Since 2008, professionally, right? So what's crazy is, like, people be like, yo, hip hop, how do you still keep that, like, childlike love for the game industry? You know what I'm saying? So just let you know, Shawn, like, my grandmother, rest in peace, she's the one that taught me how to play video games. So I've been playing, so I've been playing video games all my life, and it started with my grandma. So I have a sentimental value to everything, not just the games, but the games, the game industry, the people. Like, that's why even meeting you, even talking to you right now, yo, bro, what? Like, this is crazy for me, son. So it means a lot. So one thing I wanted to ask you is, when did you know that it was time to kind of like wrap it up, or at least leave a certain area, you know what I'm saying, of the industry, because of that exhaustion? Because it's kind of, because, yo, bro, I'm never tired of this stuff, but everybody's different. What got you to the point where you're like, you know what, it's time?
Well, had the fortune of being with Sony, like you said, since '87. That's even before PlayStation. Doing other things there, working corporate, working for the chairman of the company, and then got into PlayStation very early, back in '96. So just launched in America. I jumped from one part of the company into the PlayStation group, took that ride through PS1 to the handheld platforms, Pocket PlayStation for the 9 people in America who ever saw one of those, and moving up through that line and trying different things in VR, and we had motion controllers. We did all that, and then we got to the point in 2019 where we were getting ready to wind up the machine to launch PlayStation 5. And launching a console is its own kind of special operations activity that happens once every 7 to 8 years. And it's a huge energy spend. Everyone has to focus on that. The idea of launching a piece of hardware and launching games against it at the same time, there's a certain amount of skill and energy that's required to do that. And I'll be frank with you, man. It's a younger person's game.
Wow.
Someone else should have the opportunity of doing that. I've done it at least 5 times, if not more, if you count the handhelds and VR and things like that. It just seemed like a good time after 32 years with Sony. It seemed like a good time to step off the merry-go-round and let someone else have a chance.
Wow. So now, based off your, like, all of this knowledge, man, all this experience, see, the difference between you and a lot of other people is that you got a chance to live through different eras. You got some people that's younger that will never know what that arcade era is like, and growing up and having ColecoVision and stuff like that, and what that situation was. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it from that standpoint, you have so much to offer in every area, from the top positions, and you get that bird's eye view of everything. So I got a major question, bro, for you right now, right? Okay. Now, I'm looking at Gripple that you're a part of. I was checking that out and stuff like that, right? When you look at projects like Gripple, does that set you off all over again, like it's back in the 80s for you? Like, what is Gripple, first of all, so the audience can know what is Gripple and what is the goal of it? But does it give you that feel or that itch again?
Yeah. Always getting a chance to be at 1.0 for a thing is an exhilarating experience. We were there for 1.0 PlayStation, or for VR, or for things like that. It's one thing to come into an established business model and say, people come in and say, okay, you can run this business, but don't break anything. Everything's perfect the way it is. You want to get an opportunity where they say, we don't know what the hell's going on. Our hair's on fire. What are we going to do here? So Gripple was started by a friend that I used to work with named Gabe Pesa. He was my chief of staff when I was chairman of Worldwide Studios. And Gabe is trying to solve the problem of, look, you're watching the Super Bowl. You're sitting there on your sofa, and you've got a group of friends in a text message you went to school with. Got a group of friends they kind of hang out with in a different text group. And my buddy's doing this on Super Bowl Sunday going, why am I still using SMS in the year 2023?
Facts.
Seriously, why are we still texting? And you can look at other platforms. You can kind of do it on Twitter, but Twitter's its own kind of cesspool of all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can do it on Facebook, but that's where your grandma and your grandpa are. Or Snap or Insta, wherever you go. There hasn't been a dedicated platform for sports fans. And the theory of our case is that over time, these general purpose platforms, whether they be Twitter or Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook, they're going to start to bifurcate into, enthusiast-based networks. You have something like Letterboxd. I don't know if you're familiar with Letterboxd, but it's a social network for movie fans. You spend your whole time talking about your top 10 actors and what have you. And we think that the same is going to happen. Discord is there for gamers. That's where all the gamers gather. But we don't have anything for sports fans. Honestly, this is something ESPN should have done 15 years ago.
Wow.
But they didn't, right? They have bulletin boards, which is like taking 1990s technology and letting you,
do it
like
now.
blame on people. So Gripple is trying to fill that gap. It's going to be dedicated to sports. It's going to be about the sports fan experience. No gambling, though. Okay. I want to be very upfront. It's not a FanDuel competitor. It's not even a fantasy football competitor, but you can use it to connect your fantasy teams. But what it is just for sports fans to come together and communicate, get your room together for the Super Bowl, so you're just in the same the same room experience with your friends and your contacts. And athletes can communicate in the regular social network platform of it all. I think there's a lot in the athletes community, while they're using different social media platforms, they would like to have a dedicated space to talk to their fans about sports. And the beauty of Gripple, which is why the NBA couldn't make it, or MLB couldn't make it, or leagues. The leagues have tried this, but they find it challenging. Once the Super Bowl's over, how do you keep people caring about the NFL experience? Because America, like in Europe, it's soccer 24/7, or football as they call it, right? 12 months out of the year, you can always talk about it. But America, we're like sports omnivores. We eat a bit of this, we eat a bit of that, we eat a bit of this. Oh, it's baseball season, let's do that. And we move around the table.
Yep.
Gripple's going to try to be the Switzerland of sports, where all those different leagues can attach to it. And our theory of the case is, to the baseball fans or the football fans, whatever, when that season's over, the league always wonders, where do these people go out in the world until next season? What we're trying to say is, when the season's over, they'll still be in Gripple, but Super Bowl's over, so they're all talking about basketball finals now, or hockey, or now we're in the baseball season. But we'll always have them here, and when your league season comes up, we'll deliver them up to you, and they'll come back around that way.
Wow.
So that's the theory, anyway.
Wow. It seems like a more fun way to utilize data in real time. So instead of data just being 1010 like a matrix code, data can actually be fun to utilize instead of something that's always just in the background. That is interesting, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is the first time ever I never seen this on an interview with Shawn Layden. But one thing, so there's a gentleman I wanted to introduce you to. His name is Dante Simpson. So if you're familiar with Ridley Scott and a lot of these major platforms, his platform is called eSpect. Okay. And so if you ever seen any video game trailers in movie theaters, he is responsible for all of it. Every time video game trailers run in theaters, it's because of him. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, okay.
But not only that, if you've watched the Super Bowl for the past couple of years, there's a Nickelodeon counterpart where you see like Homer Simpson is Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. So moms and kids could enjoy the Super Bowl in the way that they want to see it. You know what I mean? And they gamified it and stuff like that. He's responsible for all of that. Everything that you just told me, I believe that y'all should meet each other, y'all should know each other, and I believe big business can happen from that particular introduction. And personally, I would love it, and I will fly you out, bro. I don't even care, but I would love for you to come to New York, to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm the first gamer and only gamer to be a partner with the New York Stock Exchange and FinTech TV. So I would love to have you on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange and to take Gripple to another level, and we can celebrate you and the whole team. Because what you just said is you just gamified data to make it something that's fun and usable versus just something that's X and O's in the background. That is groundbreaking. So yeah, I'm with that, bro. I'm with that. After this, I'm gonna hook you up. It's gonna be crazy.
Catch me outside. We'll do that.
I know, right? We'll do it. So you know what I'm saying? So now, a major question that I want to follow up on is, I know in the community there's a lot of questions that they want answered to and follow-up questions, but I got something. Lots of questions. But I got before we even get into those things, there's something that I want to throw at you as well. Because of your experience, with with your time with PlayStation and stuff like that. When you look at what Microsoft is doing with the multi-platform approach, but then you look at Nintendo, as well. My question to you, if you was in the same position as you was at PlayStation, but you was at Microsoft or you was at Nintendo, what does the next 2 to 3 years look like for you if you was in those leadership roles? Why am I asking this? Because I think a year ago or a year and a half ago, I got some information from some sources that Nintendo is actually interested in potentially testing the waters in PC as well, putting their games on PC. So I was like, this is very different and very interesting. But I remember when they tried to do what they did with the Apple Run, with Mario Run. And so I know that they have an openness to trying to go other areas. We already see what Microsoft is doing and stuff like that. Okay. My question to you is, if you are in charge at Microsoft and if you was in charge at Nintendo, what would be your approach based off your experience taking over PlayStation?
Well, if I wasn't getting enough active on social media this week, let's just start this week all over again. Let's see how we can do this. Look, the Nintendo one's the easy answer, which is if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think Nintendo has been very intentional in what lane they play in, and I'm not being dismissive about that at all. I mean, I think they're very focused on who their fans are and what their fans want. No one is more in touch with their fan base than Nintendo. Even PlayStation was never as in touch with the fan base as Nintendo is. They know who their fans are, and they know exactly what that requires. I mean, look at it this way. During the pandemic, when we saw revenues in video gaming rising, significantly, largely because we're all locked inside and can't go, out. A lot of companies hired a bunch of people because they thought this curve is all numbers go up. Let's chase that number. Let's go, throw some more gas on the fire. And then once the pandemic concluded or tamped down, people went outside and didn't spend as much time on their console. Who thought that could happen? Well, actually, Nintendo knew that would happen. So they're like the one team that stayed just in position. They stayed on course. They had their plan. They're moving their plan. They're doing their plan. And so they didn't have to suffer the peaks and valleys so much as you do if you're chasing the opportunity. They just know what their opportunity is. They see it. They understand it better than anybody else does, and they go for it, and they do it really well. So if you put me in that job, I would just stand back and ask people there, what's the plan? Because you guys seem to have it dialed in. I mean, you've been a company for over 100 years, and you've been in gaming since before. Right?
Yeah.
I think there's a thing to learn from that, and their moves are very intentional, and they don't respond to the market. No, they respond. They don't react to the market. They have plans, and they move on through. For the other guys, for the Microsoft guys, I think they're in a tough spot. If you saw the articles in GI Biz last week where I was interviewed, I made some comments around where I see their business at today. I think they are trying to redefine exactly what their role is in gaming. They're not going away. No one wants them to go away. They have too much of the content space. But the question arises, what does the hardware strategy look like? Is there really a missile race anymore in hardware, or have we all kind of topped out? My theory of the case is we've got to a place where 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second or 4K. I mean, when you go beyond that, who can really appreciate the differences? Who amongst us are going to buy an 8K TV? Aside from the very, very
hardcore enthusiasts. Yeah.
Hardcore enthusiasts, yes. The rest of the world just wants something that works, that's cool, that tells me a story, that gives me characters, that puts me in a world I want to live in. And I think Microsoft is finding its feet at becoming more, shall we say, content forward rather than hardware forward. And they're doing what they have to do, because once you have that kind of investment into a content pipeline, you've got to get it out everywhere. That's just the business model. And what they're doing in their approach, I think, makes complete sense, but they are becoming a different thing.
Got you. And you've seen this so much when you look at Sega. Like, you know what I'm saying? Got rid of the Dreamcast. Now they are who they are, and they still doing phenomenal. They still great. Yep. So I believe that when you see something like the Asus, like the Xbox Ally, how much of that is a safe bet business-wise so that Microsoft don't have to take on the bulk of the hardware part because you got hardware companies that's already doing it, but your brand is on it. Is that more of a safer bet? And if that's the case, do we just get, just like how we got a whole bunch of PCs, do we just get a whole like suite of Xbox like devices that's manufactured by other people and they just maintain the content portion to just move forward? Is that the new identity of Xbox? And if so, do you think that that's sustainable, you know, with how you see the market based off your experience?
I think nothing's a sure thing, right? So, and the handheld space is a very is a very tricky space to work in. Trust me, done PSP, PSP Go, PSP, PlayStation
PS Vita. Yeah.
We've done all of those, and Pocket Station, we talked about earlier. It's a very particular area. I think maybe one of the mistakes, quote unquote mistakes, we made with Vita is we were very keen on creating a living room experience in your hand, a living room experience in your hand, the 10-foot experience in a 10-inch space. But over time, we realized that to win in handheld is not to bring the best conversion of the console experience into handheld. To win in handheld is to make great handheld experiences. Full stop. You know, don't try to make that big thing fit in that space. Understand what you can do in this space that's really interesting, compelling, if you want to do it again. And I think that's the content challenge for moving into the handheld area. I don't know what Microsoft's view on how they're going to bring their games to handheld and what that would look like. As far as having someone like Asus, like an OEM manufacturer, but they put their name on it, so they're kind of taking a lot of the hardware risk around that. That's one way to do it. It's hard to control that. Just because you put your badge on it doesn't mean you can control the strategy. And if it does become super successful, you know, how do you influence that so it continues to reflect what your brand would like to see in a handheld space if something else happens over there? So when you're one step removed, yes, risk down, but control down as well.
Wow.
So you want to deal with that. I think if you look at the larger market over time, in an article earlier, I mentioned that, you know, if you go way out in the future, I can't see way out in the future being competing hardware standards, right? One of the reasons why Blu-ray became, or before that DVD, became so ubiquitous across the world is that at a hardware level, companies decided this is the Blu-ray standard. This is the DVD standard, right? And then so Bang Olufsen could make this crazy Blu-ray box, which would cost you $9,000 for whatever reason. Or you could go to, you know, like a Sanyo or Toshiba and get a good, you know, $200 Blu-ray player. They would all support the same standards, but would give you a bit more performance in different areas that were important to that hardware. I think you have to get, if you go way, way back, I'm old enough to have lived the Betamax VHS experience.
Yeah.
And VHS finally beat out Betamax, largely because they licensed that format outside of Matsushita to Toshiba, to Hitachi, to you know, American manufacturers like Magnavox or European manufacturers like Philips. And so the wagons of VHS manufacturers just circled the small Betamax camp, which Sony kept that format close to their chest and didn't license it out. I think they had one license to Toshiba, that was it. But just the quantity, the magnitude of the VHS ubiquity just destroyed that Betamax market. And we all had VHS and we all just competed on content.
Wow.
This went on to 8mm video, compact cassette was the same thing, compact disc was the same thing. Industry's coming around standards so that we can get the standard out as widely as possible, and then we'll compete on the content or the other features. Like I'm going to take this standard and put it in my TV set or put it in my Blu-ray player or what have you. So as long as gaming is just held tightly by one or two console manufacturers, I mean, that's fine. That's great. We've been doing it for 40 years, whether it was Sega, Nintendo, or Xbox and Sony. But we're not going to see it becoming as common in your home as a toaster.
Wow.
until a game machine comes as common as a toaster, you're really not going to break out to a global marketplace.
Wow, yo, that the analogy that you broke down with the VHS and Betamax was crazy, bro. Because I know exactly what you mean. When everybody is over here and you're supplying it, and that becomes a standard, it becomes, this is just what you do. You don't even think about it. It's second nature. So I got it. Yo, that's crazy. So Now, there's something interesting that I wanted to bring up to you because, last year when I was at CES, we always talking about generative AI and all the new technologies that's out there. So a long time ago, bro, this is probably maybe 7-8 years ago. I had a conversation with a gentleman. I think his name was Matt. I could be wrong, but we was talking. He was one of the original people on the PlayStation Home team, and he was like, yeah, and he was like, yo, in this day and age, if Sony never would have let that go, or if they decided to do something, it'll be crazy. My question to you, during your time at PlayStation, and even that PlayStation Home era during the PlayStation 3 and stuff like that, what are your thoughts? Have y'all even had other conversations, even if it's just brainstorming conversations about a potential return or something different from an ecosystem standpoint socially, that going forward with PlayStation 6 or something like that, we would see something like that again in this day and age with the AI and how it could also power business? What are your thoughts on that? Because, bro, that could be insane in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that? Have you even had conversations about what a Home 2.0 could have been?
Well, I retired from Sony in 19, so I haven't had any discussions with them in 6 years now.
Wow, got it.
But I was in London when we launched PlayStation Home because that was a London studio project. And we created it there. Actually, we built it kind of out of the ashes of another online game we were working on that just wasn't working. But we had this environment where we could have, multiple instances of players in the same space and they could interact. And we had a talking tree where you, run the dual shocks and then you can pull out a phrase like, hi, how are you, what have you. And then we thought, well, if we just clean this up a bit, we could make this a social space for gamers. It was the metaverse before anyone said metaverse, right?
Bro, gotta spin the chain on that one, Shawn. Gotta spin the chain on that one, Shawn. Talk about it, son. Let's get it, baby.
And so that's what Home was. Now we weren't the originals because we kind of took inspiration from Second Life.
Right.
Linden Labs was already out there on PC. So we tried to create something like that on the console. We come together, you remember it, you saw it, hung out with your friends, you bought some threads and you listened to some music and maybe you watched a movie together. But we didn't have a lot of other things to do with that. We tried to create stores inside there and brands inside there. But, the world was still learning about how do you get sticky in a space like that and what drives engagement. We were just at the forefront. This was like 2007, I think, when we were doing this.
Wow.
And just trying to figure it out as we went along. And it was good for PS3 because PS3 was our first, network-centric device. So it played into that. It had good uptake at the beginning, but it was just hard for game companies like ourselves to understand what a social non-gaming experience would look like extended 24/7 over time. So it kind of lost energy in that way as we went back to our traditional gaming roots. But yeah, it began then. Could it come back again? Maybe. But again, there's so many places for people to be their avatar self, to be their virtual self. I don't know what the limit is. I'm sure someone's done some research somewhere about just how many different avatars or personalities online can one person sustain. I don't think it's infinite.
Got you. Nah, that's a great take on it. But I had to ask you about that because in this day and age, in that conversation, I think that could have been good. I got a couple more questions around this, and then we're going to move on to something else. Now, this next question is really, really crazy. So, Phil Spencer, when he had made the announcement when he's on Kind of Funny and stuff like that, and he had said that they lost the most important generation that they could have lost in terms of that digital, where your digital library would live and stuff like that, with the PS4 and PlayStation Plus and all this other stuff, and they move it around like that. So now we see what they're doing now, to kind of combat the fact that the old strategy didn't work. So now we got to move to a new strategy. PlayStation still move forward. Now, we see PlayStation, trying to dip an toe into different areas. Helldivers. Well, how crazy is that? Helldivers and Gears of War at the same time, the same day on different systems. Insane. So I love it. It's crazy, Shawn. Like, it's fire. But my question to you, bro, is do you think is smart based on the knowledge that you know and just your experience as a professional in these high positions with these companies? Do you think it's smart right now currently for like, or do you think it will actually show up where like a Spider-Man will end up on Xbox, or like a Uncharted ending up on Xbox and stuff like that, God of War? Do you think that makes sense now in this day and age based on your expertise, you know, seeing the way the industry is going?
I've answered this question a few times, and you know, I get kicked from the left, get kicked from the right. Personally, and like I said, I've had no communication at a professional level with the company since 2019. So
Right.
I do not speak for the empire anymore. But I think that I think the situation is such that, you know, people often blame me for moving PlayStation to PC, and
No, I love it. Just
no,
let
no,
you
no,
know,
no,
I
no.
loved it. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
But the reason for that, honestly, in my mind, again, I can't speak for the company today, but at the time, in my mind, I wanted to go out to PC a year after release on console, where the decay rate has hit almost zero on sales, because I realized PC gamers were never going to see my games unless I came to them. Unless I went to those PC gamers and said, I know you're Master Race and everything like that, that's fine. But here's some stuff we're doing in the PlayStation world. You know, see it, dig it or not, whatever. But I want you to know these are things that are happening out there, the place that you're not coming to. So if I'm going to talk to you, I got to go to your house and talk to you. Now, in the concept of would I also take my IP and put them onto another console, my view is I'm not talking to new people. The people in the console world know my stuff. Even if they're on Xbox, they know what's happening on PlayStation. They're all very connected. They can see what's going on.
Right.
So I don't necessarily have to introduce them to the experience. But I felt on PC I had to introduce some people who would have no other chance of ever seeing Aloy and Horizon and what that's all about.
Right.
So it wasn't a money play so much as a brand expansion play. Number two, if it is a money play, I still don't know what the company would get by putting it onto the much smaller install base of the Microsoft console. You know, what's the theory of the case? If it's just to chase extra dollars, yeah, you can probably pencil that out because the cost of doing the port isn't extreme. Not like in PS3 days where you had cell processor versus 38486. It was crazy. And so porting back then was money and time. Now, not so much because the boxes are virtually identical, you know, inside. So if that's not going to cost a lot, if you could make the port and make a bit more money on it, is that bit more money worth all the brand aggro that you're going to get? You know, hey, we made $2 million. Hey, but there's a portion of our fans who hate us now. You know,
it doesn't make the best. Ooh.
Right? So it's not just money value. There's brand value questions. There's strategic value questions. If you're spending your time concentrating on doing that over there, I mean, you don't want to publish something anywhere without some support. You're just not throwing this stuff into the ocean hoping it floats. You're going to put it out there and try to make it happen. So there's a cost associated with that. So you've got to look at that. There's money costs, there's brand costs, there's time costs.
Right.
And does that stack up to green light, go? Or is it green light and 2 red lights? Well, maybe not that.
Yo, Shawn, I ain't gonna even front, man, because I've been following your career for so long, but having this conversation with you, man, there's a lot I can learn from you too. And like, I would love, I'm gonna ask you right now, bro, but I would love to have you as a guest to come to the Denzel Washington School of the Arts, bro. I actually partnered with Denzel Washington and I brought my gaming program to his school, bro.
Oh, wow.
And
cool.
I'm telling you, man, we need you, bro. I'm so serious. There's a lot of kids out there, and obviously you be paid, man, but I'm just saying, yo, bro, the way you break things down and articulate them, you make it make sense without making yourself seem like you're better than someone else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's different, bro. It's different,
better than
bro.
No one else, bro. I'm no better.
Nah, I love the way you do that, bro. You're incredible. I mean that, man. So, like, now, the next question, the final question to wrap up this section of the interview, before I go to the next joint, because the next joint I got some crazy heavy hitters for you before we wrap up. So the next joint, which is so crazy to me, you know, when you look at like Ted Price, you know what I'm saying, who retired, stuff like that, Insomniac Games, Credible Games, and stuff like that. There's a lot of games that people want back, you know what I mean? Resistance being one of them, and stuff like that, you know? And you see the remasters, the remakes, and you see a lot of independent games and indie companies punching above their weight because of the technology and stuff that they got right now and stuff. But also in the industry, you see a lot of layoffs and mismanagement of things, and things is getting kind of crazy too. One thing that's very interesting that stood out is a lot of cancellations on games. Even on Sony's part, a lot has been canceled, bro. Crazy. You know, and you see all of these things and you see turmoil here, but then you see promise here. And then, you know, so you got to kind of figure out what you're going to touch and how you're going to take things to the next level. We do know that there are new consoles coming. So my question to you is, with these new consoles coming, and Lord, you know, like, Lord willing, we don't have another pandemic to live through. To launch a system in a pandemic, I can imagine how crazy your day-to-day was, bro.
Well, like
during
I said,
that time.
I retired in December of 19, and then 60 days later, the world shut down.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you was so you was able to escape.
I dodged a bullet. Yeah.
You dodged a bullet. You dodged a grenade launcher. So that's crazy. So my thing is, looking forward with the entry of new systems and new AI, new technology. You see Open AI with Sam and what they're doing. You see the Copilot, all these other things. What does gaming look like to Shawn in terms of the next or the new metric of success by the time the PlayStation 6 and all these systems roll out, probably 2028 or something like that? What do you think is the metric of success that a lot of companies need to be paying attention to find their success in the future, in your opinion?
Wow, man, you're bringing the hard questions today.
Of course.
I think it's particularly opaque going into the next generation because there's so many things, so many variables now we're dealing with that we didn't between PS2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 5. There's more out there. There's more the sense of user engagement. Yeah, it's important. Yeah, but it's not the end all be all. I mean, if you just want engagement, then you give everything for free and rack up a bunch of MAUs that are giving you, $2 a month. You really can't win that way. I think we need to get back to an understanding of what is a game? What is a game? In my viewpoint, my personal viewpoint, a game has three components. It has a character, it has a story, and it has a world. And I need to be able to care about all of them. I may care about the world because it's so fucking frightening. It scares the shit out of me, but I care. It's scary as hell, but I care. The character, I need to either be sympathetic with or have a grind against. Something about this character is got to draw me in. It's not going to be, here's generic character, fill it with your own personality. No. Don't make me write the story, bro. You're the game designer. You write the story. You write the character. You tell me who this person is and why.
Thank you.
And then in that world with that character, what's my story? What compels me to go from point A to point Z? And in my view, dear God, don't make it take 100 hours. I think my theory of the case for the next generation is to look back at the PlayStation 2 generation. I say PlayStation 2, that means the Nintendo consoles of that time and the last of the Segas and the first of the Microsoft consoles at that time. There was so much variety, so many different games. That's what I loved as a gamer. Was not like today's world where it's maybe 4 forever games and then you play a couple of adventures along the way. There was such a cornucopia of game content on PlayStation 2. You had everything from Metal Gear Solid to Katamari Damacy and everything in between. And I'm afraid if you, setting the indies aside for a bit, which is a super important world, and I think that's going to be even more important over the next 4 to 5 years, we're seeing the big companies have gotten to such an extent of size where if you're building games that cost 150, $200 million, your risk tolerance goes to zero. Wow. You don't have any patience for, well, how about this game where this big ball of paper rolls down a hill and everything sticks to it? No one puts $100 million behind that idea.
Right.
But we need those ideas. We need those kind of games. So now we've painted ourselves to a corner where AAA means you have to bet the farm every time. You've got to go all in, and you're spending $250 million on development, not talking about marketing costs on top of that. Whew. So when you hit the wall going that fast, either you break through or you break out, or you break down, you get destroyed. And that's kind of the place we're in right now. And I want us to pull away from that abyss of people losing the ability to take risks because the cost of entry is so high. And let's look at the AA. The world of the future, I think, is AA gaming. It's games that have a character and a story and a world that I care about. I can get through it in 20 to 25 hours. I was at that same time I was at with you. Someone came up to me and said, "Shawn, you know what I miss in gaming? What do you miss?" I miss finishing games. I miss that feeling, that epic feeling at the end. Credits roll. I'm the baddest gamer in the world. I just beat this. I just beat Silent Hill kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
And you don't get that with a Fortnite. You don't get that with a Warzone. You don't get that with any of the quote-unquote forever games. So I think those games, while important, are not really games to me. There's no character, story, or world. It's just a place we go, a place we hang out, and we shoot each other. And that's what we do. But wow. I want a place where we can go back to having characters I care about, stories I want to see the ending of, and being in a world where I'd like to hang out.
Yo, bro, I'm going to tell y'all something right now about my brother Shawn. What he just told y'all, and this happens in every industry, man. And whether you're a content creator, game developer, whatever it is, one of the biggest problems is there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money and building out your industry. There's nothing wrong with that. But when money becomes more important than the actual creativity, when money becomes more important than the actual passion and the care, then the problem is you become for sale. And certain things can't be sold. Certain things has to stay priceless. And Shawn, you nailed it, bro. Certain things must stay priceless for the sake of growth. Because growing is one thing. How you grow is another. And you just summed it all up. Because, bro, I'm going to tell you something right now. And this is for me. I tell people all the time, bro. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with a company called Plitch. Plitch. So Plitch is the modern day Game Genie. So when I play, so when you just said people like miss finishing games, I finish all my games, bro. Because I got infinite stamina, infinite money, infinite skill points. Yo, bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, when y'all made the announcement that y'all was bringing games to PC, I was like, yes. Yo, bro,
you can finish them now.
Yo, Shawn, let me tell you, bro. When I play Spider-Man, instead of waiting for New Game Plus to play the game all over again just to use the stuff that I did for the whole 20 hours to get the first play. Yo, bro, when I'm playing that, I got infinite skill points. So when I get to a point where I can unlock something, I unlock everything that I can in that moment until I get to that. But it's fun having playing free. Where I'm playing the game to have fun, not to impress somebody because I beat the boss on the hardest difficulty. I don't care. Your experience don't have to be mine. So I'm with you 100% on that. But Plitch is the joint that I use, bro, which is the modern day Game Genie. That is so crazy. Plitch, yo, bro, it's crazy. So now I got to ask you this. This is Hot 97, bro. Okay. So I need to know, Shawn, what hip hop artists that you like or listen to, or what hip hop songs you like or listen to that you feel like, you know what, with what we're doing with Gripple or other companies that you may be interested in or working with, how can you bring that together? Like, what hip hop artists you would love to work with and bring into the gaming industry or something like that? Talk to me, bro.
Oh, bro, you hit me where I don't live.
Yeah, well, but like, even if it's not hip hop, what music artist, period, or like for that transmedia type of energy that you think could like help elevate Gripple or something like that? Because I got ideas already, bro. Talk to me.
Well, you're the music man, and I'll let you hit me with your ideas. I don't have a good hip hop reference for you. It's I think my iPod stops at 2001 as far as
but hold on, that's the era. That's the era right before we left the 90s. So do you have anybody like back then? It could be Rakim, it could be L Cool J, you know what I'm saying? It could like whoever, bro.
Actually, when I work on Gripple, I listen to Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin? Wow, that's crazy. But
I need the energy of John Paul Jones, man.
Wow. Yeah. But see, stuff like that matters because you got to understand, somebody like myself, I'm in every industry, bro. I'm in movies, TV, gaming, music. I do it all at the highest level. So you understand who I'm going to let see this. You know what I mean? There's opportunities here. That's why, put like this. Every time I ask a question, it's not just, hey, let's get a headline. I ask questions because I do big business. I'm not just talent. I do a lot of big business on the back end, bro. So I ask questions for a reason. So, yeah. So now my next question I got to ask you is like, I was talking with my man Dave because, you know, they got the Atari that they bringing back out. So so right now, you know how you got remakes and remasters, but now they have D-makes where they take games that like never existed on Atari. Like imagine Ratchet and Clank as a old 8-bit Atari game and you being able to really play it. So my question to you is, what's 1 or 2 games that you would love to D-make and bring and make retro that never existed in the retro time?
Well, you know, in the retro time, you have to understand the certain constraints around, you know, whether it's 8-bit or 16-bit and, you know, what kind of things you can do in that space. Obviously, a super photorealistic game is not going to run very well in that space.
Right.
But my favorite, remember when platform games were a huge market?
Oh my gosh, what?
Now it's just like Astrobot and Mario are the only two platform games. My favorite one, which I did a remake on PlayStation 4, and I would love to have a D-make, is of Medieval.
Medieval! Yo, bro, let me tell you right now. Shawn, there was a major opportunity missed with Medieval. I'm going to tell you why, bro. Do you know how smart it would have been to partner with Tim Burton?
Of course. Yeah.
With Medieval. And you got, because, bro, Tim Burton's Halloween and all this other stuff, and you put that with Medieval.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Just go ahead. But I'm just telling you, bro, that could have been something crazy, bro.
We got a lot of inspiration from Tim Burton's work for that. But that was back in the time on PlayStation 1 where, you know, I was trying to start the conversations with Hollywood back then. And on PlayStation 2, I remember going and talking to them about, we did a game called The Getaway in London.
The Getaway! Yo, this is one of my favorite games. Now, part 2, I didn't like too much because the controls was really bad. The first one, the controls wasn't that great, but that joint set the bar graphically. Yo, I remember the opening scene when Shorty got shot. And yo, bro, oh my gosh, I love The Getaway. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we made that in London. You know, we were very intentional. It was going to be a Guy Ritchie movie as a game. The first real kind of game as movie sort of experience. And so we went to Hollywood because we thought we had a good story, and you know, could they get it done? This was in the early 2000s.
Right.
And honestly, got laughed out of rooms from Hollywood studios going, what do you mean? What, you want to make Pong the movie? What are you talking about, you kids? And I realized then, wow, a whole generation has to retire before we're ever going to crack this nut about bringing games to movies. And so a generation did retire, and I went back to Hollywood, and we had conversations around Uncharted, around The Last of Us, around Gran Turismo. And what happened in those 20 years is kind of like when comic book movies became a thing,
right?
Because so many movie VPs read comic books. Right. So same thing happened here, bro. You know, we had a generation had to cycle out. And so I was meeting people at executive producer, VP level in Hollywood who played games.
Wow.
So they got it. They understood this is an important medium for young people, and this is where stories can also be told. That not film, that's not TV, and that's how we got the Uncharted movie off the ground. That's how we got Craig Mazin to come in right off of Chernobyl to work with Neil to make The Last of Us on HBO. Which
wow.
I think is
Yeah, I love that. Ooh.
one of the best, quote unquote. I hate the word transmedia, but we'll have to find a word for it later. But
I know.
But the best one of those. I mean, we had Bob Hoskins do Mario back in the '90s, which poor Bob Hoskins, that just blew up his career in the wrong way.
In the wrong way, facts. Oh man.
But it's changed now. So these things take time, and we try to bring those people across. I think Medieval to be demade, as you said, with for the Atari, I think that would be an awesome outcome. I think a game like Jak and Daxter works in that space.
Bro, oh, you speaking about bro? We can talk about this stuff all day. So I know we're gonna wrap up. I know we're gonna wrap up soon. So here's something that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Okay.
A lot of kids, a lot of students that got a lot of talent, and a lot of them looking to break into the gaming industry, right?
Yeah.
You got a lot of people that I ain't gonna even front. They get very discouraged very quickly because there's so many no's. Like before that, yes, come or whatever. But in this day and age right now, from what you see and conversations that you may have with different game developers from time to time, what is, if you could share with us, what is like the baseline criteria on how a game gets greenlit right now? Like, what I'm saying? What would you say right now that, look, if you have these things, couple of things, this will increase your percentage, maybe not guaranteed, but at least increase your percentage significantly to say that this can potentially get greenlit. Like, I can stand behind this because I believe it can get greenlit. Yeah. What's that baseline criteria, those categories, those items, that checklist, so to speak, that you feel is needed now in this day and age to get a game greenlit?
Well, first I'll say to folks in the gaming industry, and we talk to them, all the time. We talk about game ideas, what they want to get done. I remind young people in the industry that it's as hard to get a game greenlit as it is to get a movie greenlit or a TV show greenlit or get a record label, to pick up your band or your album. These are, or it's as hard as like you're a great ball player. Yeah, get an NFL ride, that funnel gets tight really fast, really quick.
Right.
And, it gets narrow. So the same with gaming, right? Huge funnel, a lot of game ideas come in. What does it take to get through the gauntlet and get to the green light? It's getting harder all the time. And I think part of that is around some investments in venture capital, for example, and other banking interests, poured some money into gaming over the last 5 to 6 years because they thought this was the huge growth opportunity. And yes, it is, but it's not just money goes in here, game comes out there. There's so much in that in-between space that's super important. So some of the money has dried up because of the venture capital level. I think rate of returns on gaming is negative 100%. They just can't find a way to make that work. Other investors, it takes a longer time. Put money in today, the game is still 3 to 5 years out. So that's a waiting game of great suspense and anxiety. So for young teams trying to get their games pitched, what I would say to teams that have pitched games to me over the last few years, you've got to have a really strong, a rock solid idea of why this game needs to exist. It's not that, well, look, there's a market opportunity here, and we found out this demographic, 17 to 28, really likes characters with 7 legs and blue eyes, so we made this game with 7 legs. No. Market research, the way I use, like, are you data-driven? I'm definitely not data-driven.
Wow.
But I use data largely to disprove things. If someone says today they like a thing, it doesn't mean they're going to like it 3 years from now when the game is done. However, if someone says today, that thing, I hate that thing, they're probably going to always hate that. So write those down. The things your dislikes stay with you longer than maybe your likes do. So write that down. But have a strong theory of why this game, not why you want to make it is important, but why it has to exist. Why is this story needing to be told? And why does this character need to have life breathed into it and come true? So be sure to lead your pitches with your passion about the idea for this game. I've seen some pitches where the first 3 or 4 pages are all, this is how we monetize the downloadable content and the microtransactions over time with subscription form that creates recurring revenue, which flattens the profit. Dude, I trust you. You did your math on that. Put that at the back of the deck. Oh, wow. I've been in pitches where by the 3rd page, I had to stop and go, excuse me. So what's your game? Exactly.
Wow.
I know you're talking about your team pedigree. You're talking about your monetization scheme. You got this economist from the University of Columbia who's like, great. Well, what is your game? Why do I care? Who is it you want me to be? What story do you want to tell me? Please get to that quickly in your pitches to people. Also, understand that money is super scarce now. I mean, it's always been scarce, but it's even more so now. So when you talk about, we want $100 million to make this game, that's not the right way. What you want is, we need $5 million or less, hopefully, to get to proof of concept, to get to proof of technology, to get to what Sony calls the vertical slice. What does it take to get to a piece of realized code? It's not the whole game, but just this slice here, which is at graphical quality and most of your physics should be in, that tells me how this game is going to look and play. These are the proof points. And when you put your money ask out there, make sure you understand that it costs this much to get to there, and it costs this much to get to here. And if we get proof of concept, proof of technology, and a vertical slice that looks great, that's where the money comes out, because you got to hire artists and programmers and designers and level makers. But the first third of that runway should be fairly modest.
Wow.
And so don't blow out. You're not asking for a lump of money from an investor. What you're asking for is a line of credit that you can draw on over time, right? It's not like you wouldn't give, God rest his soul, but you wouldn't give Ozzy Osbourne $500 million and say, go make a band.
Right, exactly. Yo, Shawn, when I tell you, and the next question will be the final question, because it's like a little mini game that I'm gonna do with you. But what I can tell you, man, is I know you got exhausted. I get it, and we respect that. You're a human first. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna hold you. We need you back, bro. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you straight up. This is from me to you and the audience. Do what you want to do with it. But I'm telling you, from me to you, the fact that you said that you use data to actually disprove things because people that don't like stuff will most likely not like it forever versus the other way around, which is so true. You are the kind of person that can see the truth within the smoke and mirrors. Not everybody got that skill set, because that's something that you can't teach. Either you got it or you don't as a leader. You understand what I'm saying? Shawn, you have that. Bro, no, you have that, bro. That's one. Two, the fact that you care about like the story and the character and the world and why it matters lets me know that you actually play the game with the purpose of actually having fun and finding your fun in it. Yeah. Versus playing the game looking for what's wrong with it, or I don't like this, or it's content, or it's this. You still have a soul when it comes to the culture. Not everybody in leadership position have a soul when it comes to the position that they're in. And that is the difference maker and why we need you back. Now, for this last question, which is also a mini game, bro.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out some game titles, and you're going to tell me greenlit or not greenlit. Okay? All right? Stuff that you agree. If you was in the position now, would you greenlight this, yes or no? Okay. So, a lot of people said they want Resistance to come back. If it was up to you, would you greenlight Resistance or no?
Absolutely. Definitely green.
Wow, definitely green. Okay, yeah. Definitely green light. All right, that's one. A lot of people talked about Jack and Daxter. You made mention of that. Is that a game that you would green light, yes or no?
Absolutely green light that.
Wow. Okay. Whew.
Look, I greenlit Ratchet and Clank for PS4, and at the time, the sales and marketing people were going, no one wants to play that old game, Ratchet and Clank. I said, bro, look at your market data, which I don't rely too much on, but this was useful. something like only 20% or less of PS4 gamers even knew the brand Ratchet and Clank. So 80% don't know it. So for them, it's a new game, bro. It's not an old game.
Wow.
Because great games are always great.
Yo, listen, Shawn, I say this all the time. I say a great game will always be played, just like a great movie will always be watched. A lot of people be like, well, where's the replay value? It needs multiplayer. It needs this. No, a great game will always be a great game, and it will always be played.
We still listen to the Beatles, man.
Great music will always be played. Like, yo, sometimes I feel like I'm talking to aliens, bro. I'm like, yo, what are we talking about, Shawn? So I got a couple more games.
Okay.
And then so like that. Now, this one is a little tricky.
All right.
SOCOM. Greenlit or don't greenlit?
That is tricky. I mean, SOCOM was a really important game because it was our first really not massively, but really multiplayer game on PS2. We had the PS2 adapter. The guys at Zipper made this great, squad-based 4-on-4 shooter. It was groundbreaking at the time. Taking stories ripped from the headlines, kind of stuff, and moving it out there in the world. I think as a brand, as a badge, SOCOM still has value. I don't think the games that we made 20 years ago need to be remade. I think the storylines are different. I think our abilities to create a more realistic story makes some of the you can get away with a lot of stuff at low poly count and low res, and it doesn't quite look as horrific as it would at today's standards. So I think you have to be very careful with the way you present the stories inside of that. But SOCOM, squad-based tactical shooter, first of its kind, I think there's another story to be told.
Wow. Okay, I got two more for you. Now, this next one, I'm so upset because I ain't gonna even front. It was the studio to me made a great game, but the marketing was so bad that it worked against them.
Well, that could be a lot.
You know what I'm saying? So that bothered me. But right now, people are still like, yo, we need this game back right now. The Order, 1886. Greenlit or don't greenlit?
I think I wouldn't do a remake of that. Certainly the world was compelling. I love that, werewolves in London and
I loved it.
The 1800s and everything. I think the guys at Ready at Dawn did a solid. It came out very close to launch of the PS4 is what we needed, and it did the business. I think if I were to go back at it, I'd look at ways we could improve the player mechanic and have more real-time combat sequences than a lot of it was, executing an animation that occurred and, filled in the spaces. Yeah, I think it was at a very rushed schedule. And again, they hit the mark. They came out on, in the window we needed to come out in, and it did the business there. But in the overall, probably needs a reworking on what is the player experience going to be. There's a story to be told, but we need to have people become more participatory in it. And I'm going to leave it at that because I'll be honest, I didn't finish it myself either.
Wow, I beat that game. I love that game, bro.
Yeah.
So
it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, I love that game. And for the final one, greenlit or don't greenlit? PlayStation All-Stars.
You hit me where I live, man.
I had to get you. I had to end it off right. Bro.
I would say what the British would call an amber light, a yellow light.
Ooh. Okay.
On the one hand, I like the concept of bringing all the characters together. I think we need to really investigate, or if I were still there, what would that basket look like? Who are the characters that resonate the most? Who are the classics that you can never leave? There's some characters in the middle that's, you have to put in this downloadable content later. But then to look at the entire mapping of what the game sequence is. Of course, it's kind of an homage to Smash
Brothers, yeah.
but it didn't quite have that kinetic feel like a Smash Brothers did. And so I think there's some work to do in the mechanic that would be important. But I think as a brand play, as something to say we are PlayStation, I think games like that are important. That's why Astrobot. Look, everyone loved.
I love Astrobot.
Have these secret, oh look, it's Nate or it's Snake.
Yeah.
It's old stuff coming in. People love that. People love Easter eggs, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. So look, I'm telling you, man, Shawn, you're one of one, bro. I mean it, man. Shawn, you're one of one, bro. I thank you so much, man. I mean it. Everybody that has tuned in to this interview, I want to share something with y'all. Like I told y'all earlier, gaming has a sentimental value to me. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to my grandma and everything like that. To be able to talk to a gentleman that came into this industry when I was only 5. I was only 5 years old, bro. And now I get a chance to sit down and have a conversation with him. That means everything to me. This means everything to me. And I want everybody to remember one thing. We play games that have fun, man. Mm-hmm. We could not like something and we can call out things, but we got to do it in a way where there's respectful corrections instead of just pure hate and antagonizement. I'm so thankful for you, Shawn, for all the work that you have done, because what people fail to realize is that there's obviously nights and days. You have a family yourself. There's obviously nights and days where it's like, yo, man, I don't got it today. I don't know what's going on. And you push through anyway to make sure that we can have some sort of enjoyment. So this is me giving you your flowers, letting you know, bro, that every single day, hour, second, minute, everything that you've ever poured in, everything in your life that you've given back to this industry, every button that I ever pushed to jump, to attack, to shoot, to run, everything I've ever done and everything that you had a part of creating, bro. I thank you and I honor you for it. We love you for it. God bless you. And I humbly say, there's only one Shawn Layden, bro. And it's an honor to have interviewed you. So everybody, give it up for the one and only, the great Shawn Layden. And you checking out the Go to the Game Hip Hop Gamer on your Hot 9-7 every day. That's my word. And we out of here. God bless y'all. Peace.